anxiety. I'm about to have a panic attack. It's a rhyme and the mechanic of rap. You slave-minded, here's your manacles back. I'm lean muscle, you just animal fat. My team hustle, this is actual fact. No hypothesis, try stopping us, trying to figure that hot.
Welcome everyone back to the Urban Wrestling Network. I'm your host for this special interview with, in my opinion, the #2 draft pick. It truly is the #2 draft pick for MLW, the Suplex Assassin, Alex Kane. How are you, man?
I'm good. I'm ready to give this podcast all this work.
Awesome. I love to hear it. And the first thing I actually really want to jump into is the nickname. I think the nickname kind of caught everyone off guard. The Suplex Assassin is definitely something that you don't just get by being around. How did that nickname come about?
I came up with it myself. I did this Evolve tryout in my first year, and I did my tryout match with Bobby Flacco. And at the end, Gabe Spolsky gave us feedback. He was like, "You don't have a character. You need a character. What's your character?" Or whatever. Because I was just going to be like the strong dude with the mohawk or whatever, and I thought that would get me by, but it didn't. So I was like, "What? I can't be the wrestler. I can't be the suplex machine. I can't be the human suplex machine either, because that's Taz. I don't want to be the wrestling machine because that's Kurt Angle. But I want to use my amateur background in my wrestling. So what am I going to do?" So I was playing one of the 2K games, and I was creating myself in the game or whatever, trying to like put together like an attire and like stuff like that. And I put in assassin, and then I was like, hold on, Suplex Assassin. There's never been a Suplex Assassin. I'm gonna be the Suplex Assassin. And then I just ran with it.
It's pretty interesting. I do YouTube, and I typically do the 2K universe modes. So that's actually pretty cool to see that that's kind of helped, especially wrestlers, especially yourself, get that nickname. So I thought that was really cool. That's the first time I actually ever heard of that. That's actually really, it's unique. And speaking about, your early days too, what actually got you into pro wrestling? I know it's one of the strangest businesses to be in. So what was the deciding factor for you?
What got me into professional wrestling was watching Stone Cold Demolition. It was like VHS tape. It was like an off release, but it chronicled his feud with Kane going into Bad Blood. Not Bad Blood. Was it First Blood? His First Blood match with Kane and that Hell in a Cell match. And I literally watched it every single day. And like when I first started watching, I didn't exactly know who Stone Cold Steve Austin was, but the person that I bought it from kind of explained to me his character, and I was like, well, this should be exciting. This definitely should be exciting. Someone beating the shit out of their freaking boss every day, night in and night out. You can't not get behind that.
Facts. I think we'd all love to do that.
Oh, most definitely. I walk into work sometimes. Well, when I used to have a shoot job, I'd walk into work sometimes. I'd have Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme song playing in my head or whatever. I'd be walking like him or whatever. I'd be looking at my boss, but nah, I'm not gonna do this today.
That I think we've all had that one. That's always that one day that they definitely try it. And so I want to ask, and since we're kind of jumping around here, your arsenal, as I've heard, has over 100 suplexes in it or more, which is insane to me. Now, who do you primarily take where do you draw the inspiration? Where does your moveset kind of take, bits and pieces of other wrestlers from?
At first it was Brock Lesnar. That's somebody who AR Fox told me to watch a lot of. And then there's definitely Taz, there's Kurt Angle, there's Scott Steiner, there's Rick Steiner, a little bit of Shelton Benjamin, even though he doesn't do a lot of them, he still does some. And then I just kind of took bits and pieces from everybody or whatever. So I didn't want to be any of them, but I wanted to, I guess, draw from them, if that makes sense.
So it's just basically, your own craft, essentially.
Yes, yeah.
All right, pretty cool. I want to talk about for you first starting out. Was there anything that some people are like naturals in this business when they come out for you? Was there anything that kind of was hard to get used to at first, or when you were first training?
Remembering spots, that was the hardest thing. Sometimes it's hard now or whatever, but that was probably the hardest thing because it was like, man, can I really? It was like spots would like stack. Like we'd start off at one spot and then he'd add to it and then he'd add to it and then he'd add to it, and I'm like, I don't know if I can remember all of this. And I remember asking him like, do I have to do spots in my matches? Like, do I have to do this? Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do any of this. But as time's gone on, and I've learned to do things that go more in line with my instincts, it makes it easier. So you may not see me doing a whole bunch of running spots or whatever. I'll do them for someone else, but me, myself, I won't do it. But I'll just find different ways to get into suplexes, different ways to get into certain situations. And I think that's what sets me apart from a lot of people. And that's kind of what brought me to the dance.
Your in-ring psychology is one of the things that I personally love about you. It definitely, for me, stands apart because you're able to tell a story really well. And when did you kind of first start realizing, hey, I'm actually pretty good at this? Like when was that? Like,
honestly, before you said this, like I didn't really think my psychology was that great. I mean, it's good, but like I don't think so much in wrestling psychology so much. I think more of what if I was in a fight, like a back alley fight that had wrestling ropes. No, we'll put it like this. If I was in a back alley fight and there was a wrestling ring and I had to beat this other guy, what can I do? Like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get across to maybe there's people in the alley watching what's happening? How am I going to get them engaged into what's happening? Because, I mean, you can watch a fight and not be engaged in it until something big happens, someone gets their block knocked off. But building up to that person getting their block knocked off, like you got to have like certain components in that match. But I'm delighted to know that my ring psychology is good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about watching your matches. Besides the suplex, I think that's what everyone loves. Mm-hmm. That's what brings people to the show, is that you're very believable. And speaking about being very believable, you had recently said during an interview, and I was watching things around, since you're, by the way, if you don't know, number 2 draft pick here, by the way. You're in the league, and you mentioned the match with Alexander Hammerstone. Now, before I get to that, what are your goals for the league?
The league continue to become the best wrestler I possibly can be. I guess that's like my overall goal. Bust heads and win championships.
Now, you also mentioned Alexander Hammerstone. Now, we do have Evil Onse is a big fan of Hammerstone. And I had to ask, out of all people, why Hammerstone?
Well, so in the interview, I said that for me, you go in and you punch the biggest dude there in the face. Yes, Jacob Fatu is overall champion, but Hammerstone has literally been undefeated for 2 years. For 2 years with the open weight heavyweight championship. So if I'm gonna go in there and go after anybody, it's gonna be him.
That is actually it's pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie. One of the things I was checking around on social media, and I was trying to get as much detail as I can, do my research on you. The Kaiju Standard. It was really interesting when I saw it because I am a fan of mixed martial arts, and I do know that has a lot to do with self-defense and also competition-wise. That's that type of martial arts style. So I was wondering if you could kind of elaborate on being the Kaiju Standard. I was really intrigued.
The Kaiju Standard is kind of an inside joke between me and O'Shea Edward, because I wrestled him the week before I put that on my Twitter bio, and he's a big bad Kaiju. And since I beat him, he passed the torch to me, which was the beads that I wear now. I was like, yo, because I couldn't, because like I've been a fan of Shelton Benjamin for so long, but I was really a fan of him when he was gold standard. And since I can't be the gold standard, I was like, well, you know what? I'll be the Kaiju standard. And like I ran it by him, and he was like, run with it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna run with it.
Awesome. Okay, I was super like, and I was like, well, I had to ask that because I was super invested in that. And speaking about mixed martial arts, you happen to be part of American Top Team, which is who trained plethora of talent, but all in the UFC and the PFL. One of your stablemates, Tom Lawler, I'm not sure if you guys are affiliated or not, but one of your stablemates, Tom Lawler, he recently just competed in the PFL. How has that transition been? You know, you're brought in by American Top Team. Have you been around the guys? I mean, has there been any training for you yet with them?
No, not yet. Actually, the week of the signing announcement, I got to talk to King Mo, and he did say that we would get some training in when everything like really opens up. So I'll definitely start training there because there is a facility in Atlanta. So that'll definitely be cool. I'm pretty familiar with Tom. I wrestled him at Paradigm Pro Wrestling. The match hasn't dropped yet, but I can't wait for it to drop.
There you go, folks. Paradigm Pro Wrestling. Check it out. It'll be out soon. Gotta get all the plugs, as we go. And so you're brought in personally by Dan Lambert.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been stated. I was reading the MLW news and everything. You look at someone like Calvin Tankman, who came in last year, made a name for himself. You, on the other hand, are on the same path to make a name for yourself, but with the guidance of a guy who literally raises champions.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, what is the biggest thing that you want to pick from a mind of a guy who's literally been around nothing but champions?
I mean, the simplest answer I can give is to how to be a champion. Because like, I mean, that's being a champion is more than winning a belt. I think it's a mindset. It's even a lifestyle, and it's a kind of a way that you carry yourself. But then also, like, I want to learn how to be more efficient in these matches and in these fights. And I feel like watching King Mo's pretty efficient in what he does. He doesn't waste a whole lot of time. Tom Lawler doesn't waste a bunch of time or whatever. So even though like even now I don't have a whole lot of wasted motion, I would like to be able to increase that or whatever. So there's no wasted motion at all.
And speaking about constantly, being at the best you can be in, ever since you've been wrestling, has there ever been a match where you felt that you've taken that extra step from after that match was done?
The first time that really happened was my match with O'Shea Edwards. He really made me step it up, and he made me go to that next level. So now every match after that, I kind of got a little bit of chip on my shoulder, not like a bad chip on my shoulder, but a little bit of chip on my shoulder or whatever, to have every single match at that level. And sometimes it works out and other times it doesn't. But I mean, you can try to bring somebody to your level, but if they can't deliver, then it is what it is.
The greatest of diamonds are made from the most pressure. So it's interesting that you said that too. Sorry about that. I also wanted to talk about your finisher.
Yes.
And I don't want to say too much about it, and I feel like I'd give it away because I feel like you'd have more of this, since it is yours. I feel like you'd have more of a better insight to tell the audience about why this is so devastating of a maneuver.
So yeah, it's called called Southern Line Suplex. It's also called the Jokerplex, which I didn't know I didn't know Joker from CZW even used it before I saw it. I originally saw it in the video game. It was a part of Drew Gulak's moveset. And I was like, why doesn't anybody use this? So I'm like, well, I'm gonna use it. Shit, it looks like death. It looks like death. I mean, from a working standpoint, I keep it pretty safe. But from a performance standpoint, it looks like death at the time. no matter how it's thrown.
So you're a guy of when you're out there and you have your spots, you just look like a complete badass. The confidence is there. You're welcome. The confidence there. And how long did it take you to truly get like a hold to build Alex Kane, the Suplex Assassin, up to where he is now? Like, how long did it take you to kind of finally hit that stride for you?
When I really hit the stride was the Future Showcase that Cynic City does, Cynic City Invitational does. Well, I think I think I did. I think this was the first one, first or second. After that triple threat match I had with Nolan and Jack Griffin, like that, I think that's when I really came into my own, and I really started to realize that I can actually like do this. I can actually be good at this. Before I wasn't working that often because I didn't really know where to go or like where to work. So after being on that stage and people receiving me and understanding like I guess like my motives and my character and stuff or whatever, like I was able to really like pick it up and run with it. And then also going back to O'Shea Edwards, I got to talking to him after my match or whatever. I got to talking to him or whatever, and he gave me some really good advice as far as presentation goes. Because before I used to wear like the wrestling singlets, like the shooter wrestling shoes and all that. And he kind of popped the idea to my head to like get something custom made. I mean, my gear before I already had my name on it and stuff like that, but it wasn't my own design. So to really design something for that's more me, to get like boots and stuff, just to look, just for that presentation, look more efficient. Because before that, I was like, I'm never gonna wear boots. I'm just gonna wear wrestling shoes all the time, and that's just gonna be what it is. But the more I wear my boots, the more I realize it does make me look way more professional.
It's funny you speak about professional, and I remember when I first saw, I was like, why does this guy look like he's supposed to be in an actual, like, not the squared circle, but one where there's a mat and like there's like a reference. So you're pinned on the floor, it's over. I was like, huh. I was like, weird. And as soon as I was like, wait, this guy's the complete opposite of that. I was like, what in the world? It really blew my mind. And as I kept watching a lot of your matches, your character work and the work you put in is quite literally amazing, by the way. I really love your in-ring work, and I can't stress that enough. The guy does great work. You're now at a prime spot, coming in as the number 2 draft pick. You now have basically put a footnote of where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you going to be at Philadelphia?
Yes, that'll be my debut. That'll be my debut.
That's even better, because now the next question I have is actually not from me. It's from one of my colleagues. They are this is they and in their words, this is a Contra podcast. And is there any fear? I mean, you've got Contra Unit, you've got El Jefe and Azteca Underground. You want to rise up and you want to go for the gold. When you have two units like that are trying to take over the lay of the land, so to speak, does that create any pressure, any fear of actually trying to move forward in the company?
Nope, not at all. You step up, I'll knock you down. If I can't knock you down, then I'll come back again and try to knock you down again. I don't have any fear of anyone.
I love that.
The literally only person I fear is my mother. That's it.
That is fair. That is very fair. And to also go on that, you're going to be in action, or you make an appearance if you can in Philly.
No, I'll definitely. I mean, I don't know exactly. I know that I'll debut in Philly. I don't know who I'm wrestling or anything like that, but I know I'll definitely wrestle in Philly. So yeah, I definitely know I know I'm gonna wrestle.
Gotcha. We love to hear it. And I think the last like 3 questions I have, I'll go by them one by one. You've been in the business for a little while now, and
about two and a half.
I'm going to call it a grizzled veteran. And so in the 2 years, if there was ever a time to where you know this, that you're finally being seen and you're finally being out there. What was the hardest change for you once you realized, all right, I've got everything in stride, people have eyes on me, and I'm having these great matches? What was the biggest challenge of constantly staying at that level once you actually got there?
Like the confidence outside of the ring, like not talking negatively to yourself. That's a hard thing for me sometimes. I struggle with some depression, so really trying to be nice to myself, and not be one of those. I always say that there's a bunch of people in the world that probably think you suck. Don't be one of those people. So there's probably people on this planet right now that think I suck or whatever, but I can't be one of those people. So remembering just to be nice to myself, and also stay humble with where I'm at, because this can be taken from me at any moment. So the hardest part is really just trying to keep my head on my shoulders.
That is as real as it gets right there, truthfully. And also, since you've also learned a lot, I mean, is there any advice you kind of have for other people who think that this may be a career they want to get into, or, you know, because they see it on TV and they really want to do this? Any advice you could possibly give them for them just starting out?
Starting out, find a good school. The WWA4 in Atlanta, Georgia, which is my home school, that's definitely a great place to start. And then like once you get like your training over with and you graduate from school, travel. Like make your money at, there's shows that are going to be seen and there's shows that aren't going to be seen, and that's something that I've learned this last year and kind of this year. So like make your money at those shows or whatever, get your reps in, you know, try stuff at those shows that aren't going to be really seen. And then but don't like bog up your weekends with those shows. Like when you have a free weekend, go, if you live in Georgia, or even if you don't live in Georgia, go to like an Action or a Beyond or a Limitless or whatever, and just like travel and network and meet people. Like, once I kind of got out of like the like real like Southern wrestling of Georgia, and I started going to Action and Paradigm and Sup and all these other shows that are on the higher level of indies, like those locker rooms are filled with people who all want to have the best show possible. And like you can ask them questions. Like most of them have been doing this for a pretty long time. They've been doing it at a pretty high level for a long time. So like always ask questions. Like if you do end up getting a spot on that show and you have your match, don't just come back and just think, oh well, you know, the crowd was hot, I did a good job. Like always go ask and see if people watch your match and get critiques on that. And then with the critiques, like really like if you can write that shit down, or if you have a good memory, just remember it or whatever. And then apply what you learned from that match to the next one. And then from that match to the next one. I feel like that's how guys really get better. You continue to apply the knowledge that you learn. You don't just stay kind of static. You're dynamic.
Ooh, that is a gem right there, folks. And that's what these podcasts are all about, dropping gems for you guys. That's what I try to do, which that's what I try to get. And last but not least, right now, you kind of, right now, the MLW world is your oyster.
Mm-hmm.
And with that comes a lot of eyes. With that comes a lot of people saying, hey, I want that guy. Is there any country that you have not wrestled in yet that you'd love to wrestle in?
I want to wrestle in the UK. I want to wrestle in Germany. I want to go to Japan. I want to go as much international as I possibly can. That's always been a goal of mine.
And speaking, you actually just gave me another question. I knew I said I was gonna have one, the last one, but I have one more here.
Ask as many questions as you want.
I love it. Your wrestling style, it's called shoot style. It's a shoot style wrestling. And how have you been able to kind of, because obviously not every wrestler that you went against is the same. How have you been able to kind of, or have you ever incorporated anyone else's wrestling style in yours, try to expand your arsenal?
Um, I I've learned over the past couple of weeks that I'm pretty good at arm drag, so I might mix in a little lucha, outside of like doing springboards and stuff like that. But like I'm trying to incorporate like more just a little bit of high flying stuff, like some frog splashes. I was working on this 360 spin spot frog splash that I'm still working on, but at some point I'm gonna bust it out. Um, but like, I mean, I would like to keep everything on the mat, but I also want to be able to adapt to any situation, and ultimately have fun and do some new shit. Like, yes, I can throw suplexes and do it well, but I can also bust out a nice arm drag or dive on somebody. You know, like I mean, I'm not limited to just wrestling, just shoot
It's
wrestling.
it's I'm going on another one, but one of the key things I feel that isn't necessarily dead today in pro wrestling, but I feel is very undervalued is technical wrestling, mat wrestling. Because I feel that right there tells a whole story. But I wanted to get your opinion on the aspects and how important it is for technical wrestling for you.
Um, I like when I first started. I didn't really I didn't understand pro wrestling, technical wrestling so much. But as it's kind of gone on, I've realized the importance of it. And I noticed like a lot of guys watching matches, like they just kind of like blow through it or whatever. Like they don't need time to work anything or whatever, or to like get anything out of the chain wrestling that's going on. They're just trading wrist locks or trading hammer locks, and it's kind of just like at that point, I'm taken out of the match. Like I just walk away at that point, um, because I feel like when you don't take the wrestling part of wrestling and you're just trying to get to the first running spot or something, that kills everything or whatever. Because like going into a match, okay, this is gonna most matches are pretty tense or whatever. So you're building this tension, you're building tension or whatever, and then you just shit on the wrestling aspect of wrestling. Like grab something, hold it. You don't like the crowd doesn't always have to be up. I think that's what a lot of people why I like to blow through the technical wrestling aspect of wrestling because they want the oohs and the ahs. But if you if you do the technical part of wrestling well, people not maybe not everybody comes up. People are at least gonna give you a standing ovation or whatever. Like, oh,
Oh
that
yeah,
was really cool. You have a little bit of scramble in your break. That was really cool. But you guys are actively trying to wrestle. And then when wrestling is working more, then you get to the other stuff. Maybe you throw a punch, a strike, or you throw a slam or something. But you got to do the wrestling part first. You have to do that well.
'cause, you're a guy who has a multitude of holds that I've seen, especially, and you do a great job so submission wise, which from the ones I've seen, you don't put out too much, but when it does, it seems to do a significant amount of damage to your opponents.
Mm-hmm.
So how when did the first idea of adding that submission style to your game first kind of take hold for you?
Um, I started working with one of my buddies named Damian Tangra. Um, he's got like a jujitsu, like Muay Thai background, and just like kind of watching him and working with him with training or whatever. Like he's pretty damn good at submission. Um, and like I was trying to think of more ways, like in between me throwing somebody, like how can I inflict more damage on this person without having to exert too much force. So I can tie you up like a pretzel and put you in something. Um, and that's again like expanding my arsenal. Like sometimes my matches aren't all suplexes. Sometimes I might throw a neck breaker or a back breaker in there somewhere or whatever. But everything kind of still leads to that suplex. I'm softening you up.
For the big moves.
Yes, for the big moves, yeah.
You know, storytelling, and here's a good one I was just thought of. So for storytelling purposes, has there ever been a storyline that people may not necessarily know that you've been in that, you know, you've built to the pinnacle, so to speak, of the boiling point, there you go, of a rivalry to where you've had a crowd invest, or at least some of them invested? How does it feel knowing that you've got people on the edge of their seat wanting more from what you guys are doing? You know, that culmination of a story.
That is probably the greatest feeling on the planet. I don't get put in too many angles as far as some of these promotions that I work at. The angle I was just in with Isaiah Bronner, that was really good. Because throughout that taping for the UWFI contenders, like we had to cut promos after each match. And like before then, I cut like some, like in my over here with my green screen and stuff, but never really anything like it had like some to it. But with those tapings and like really being able to really like feel myself, and not have to like censor myself. I hate, like, I'm not like, when I cut promos, like I'm not trying to like curse the entire time, but if I need to say an expletive, I need to be able to say an expletive. And just like the promos that me and him had back and forth, like that had like that real, like I really felt the passion or whatever, and I really felt like the anger, the intensity, and like by the time all the episodes aired, like people were like, "Yo, we really need to see this," because it was a match with the two top prospects. He came out on top, which is fine, cool, great, awesome. But people were really invested in what was going to happen. They didn't know if he was going to win. They didn't know if I was going to win, but they knew the match was going to be a banger.
So, you know, and speaking about promos, has it ever been difficult for you to, like, you know, going up there and just cutting a promo, just like, Harriet, hey, I'm going to say this?
Yeah, it's still hard sometimes, but like I've found that you kind of have to give yourself, even if like the promoter or something doesn't give you bullet points, but he kind of tells you what he wants, you have to give yourself bullet points so you can get to the point as quickly as possible. Because nobody wants to hear, "I'm not The Rock. I can't. I'm not about to entertain you for 5 minutes and then get to the point." So being able to like give yourself bullet points, give yourself little points to hit, that makes it easier. And then sometimes just going off the dome and just really feeling it. Those are my best promos, when I'm just speaking. I'm not trying to be something. I'm just speaking to you and to what I'm feeling right then and there.
And another one I wanted to ask was, obviously, any wrestling match, I'm not too sure, and I'm going to ask this and hoping that you can kind of clarify it too. There's a great deal of mixed martial arts that also goes into pro wrestling, no? At least for certain people.
Let's say it again.
So, you know, I believe for you and for other people, mixed martial arts does play semi-heavy into what you do, no?
Yeah.
So having to learn essentially two different sports, was that ever complicated in trying to, like, you know, mix them together and mesh it and make it, you know, flow in your arsenal? Or was it just kind of something that just came naturally?
Kind of came naturally. I mean, mixed martial arts, at the basis, it's wrestling, and then you add in the strikes, you add in the submission, and everything else. So, I mean, adding in strikes wasn't difficult, and adding in submissions wasn't too hard either. Trying to hold them together can sometimes be a little tricky, but for my style it works. And I feel like everybody should have some sprinkle of either like mat wrestling or learn some or catch wrestling, just something or whatever, just to kind of help them stand out a little bit, because not everybody's going to do it, but that small group of people that are going to do it's going to help them stand out.
Alrighty, awesome. And my last one, I can guarantee it's the last one. So I said like twice already. In terms of kind of separating yourself, and how important is marketing?
Marketing is extremely important. It's extremely important. Like I myself have my own theme. Like I don't. A lot of guys use YouTube music and stuff like that. I have my own theme, and that I'd always tell people if you have your own theme music, it has your name, it has your gimmick, it's catchy, it has some cool lyrics in it. That is going to do the job for you before you even step out on the stage. Like when my music hits and I hear the people in the crowd singing the song, my job's already done. Everything else I do after that is extra.
There you go, folks. That is the ultimate gem. This was an amazing time. Thank you so much for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. The MLW. Actually, before I say that, do you have anything you want to plug?
Follow me on Twitter at Alex_Kane11. I like having more Twitter followers. It's always nice. Buy my merch. It's on Pro Wrestling Tees. Just type in Alex Kane. It'll come up. I'm the only Alex Kane in professional wrestling. So definitely do that. My theme song is on Pandora, Spotify, all the major streaming platforms. Once you hear it, you'll fall in love. Just go stream it. Action Wrestling Game Over on June 25th at the Roger Spencer's Community Center. That's gonna be a lit one. So make sure you buy your tickets for that one. I don't think we're gonna be live, but definitely if you're around the area, you can come. Definitely come. That's the end of my plugs.
Alrighty. So with that being said, guys, also buy our merch at urbanwrestlingnetwork.com. We also have a website, Urban Wrestling Network. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, Urban Wrestling Network. What are you waiting for? Thank you so much for your time. The Suplex Assassin.
Hold on. One more thing.
Absolutely.
The coolest thing happened today, and my friend sent it to me, but somebody made me Entire Pro Wrestling World on Steam. That shit was dope. I'm in a video game now, guys. I'm in a video game now.
Moving on up in the world. There you go. And that's how we're going to end this. Thank you so much for watching. Stay off the hook, everyone.